So, hello today. Today was the end of the Styrian Grand Prix, and with me I have Ishita and Ayush to discuss about the post-race analysis. Ayush, what is your take on the race?
Hi Vidit, hi Shraddha. So race went along the lines as we had expected. This track, especially the Red Bull Ring in Spielberg, it's a bastion of Red Bull team. Why? Because it's on a little altitude, about 700 meters. Air is a little thin, and the aero package supports really well the Red Bull car. So that is why it was expected that Max will win. They had a quarter of a second of an advantage over Merck, and it went according to the plan. Uh, though apart from the front four, which was expected as it went, except for the Perez pit stop, which went a little haywire, I think Leclerc was amazing. I would want to point it out that Leclerc was brilliant in the race for him. Yeah.
Sure. Ishita, any driver you felt was unlucky throughout the race or expectations are too high and they did not perform? Anyone in specific?
Russell, I would say, because he qualified really well. It was one of his best qualifiers, right? And I was also kind of hoping, and I had my fingers crossed for him, that he would take some really good points for the team. But yeah, unluckily, he couldn't complete the race. So that was one driver that I thought would be the driver of the day.
Correct. He was running in the points, in fact, for Williams, running eighth,
Yeah.
and in fact, quite close to Alonso. And as it was described, the Alonso train, in which you saw 7 cars in a row in probably 2-3
Exactly.
seconds distance. So it was a good midfield fight, but Williams had their mechanical reliability issues. Ayush, anyone else in specific? What about Gasly?
I think Gasly. So I have a pecking order. I think Bottas is usually the unluckiest person on the grid, then Russell, and then Gasly. And this happens quite often. There are times Gasly has been qualifying brilliantly. He's been qualifying top six, I think, almost every race. And his performance in the race is a little. It does not precede his reputation in qualifying. That is also true for Russell. Russell qualifies really well, but during the race there is good competition. I mean, Latifi in fact performs better than Russell sometimes.
But
If you
Alpha
compare
Tauri was just
points,
amazing in qualifying. They were doing so well in all the practices and qualifying, doing amazing. So that entire puncture, would you blame Charles for that? What happened
yeah,
in lap
Charles.
one?
So I'll tell you the problem with Charles is he goes. He's a bit edgy. Uh, right now, because his car not being the strongest, he tries his best to overtake as many people as he can in the first lap or the early laps. This has been his strategy last year also, and there were a lot more crashes in the beginning of the season where he did not finish. Uh, so he needs to change that a bit. But other than that, I think he had a very good race. Uh, these things do happen. He's a
But
bit
I
edgy.
think this is where I would take it a little bit away from Leclerc, because he did crash into Gasly and then also Raikkonen later on, and he was a little pissed about it. So yeah, I mean, if there's only one reason that Leclerc, according to me, shouldn't have been the driver of the day, it would be this. But otherwise, yeah, his
Ishita,
teammate performed super well.
since you've come to driver of the day, who would be your Sports Taza driver of the day if I have to call it?
For me, as I've stated my reason against Leclerc, I think Sainz did really well throughout. And he gained
Yeah,
some
moving
six,
from
seven
12th to
positions.
5th. So yeah, 12 to 6. So that was
That is
quite
Yeah, for
impressive.
me, that was very impressive. And especially because of his past performances this season, I think he's slowly getting the momentum and a hang of his car. So,
Living
So
by the name
for,
smooth operator. He is a smooth operator. People do not realize, they don't feel him like he's there and he suddenly just comes up with brilliant results and
so
very
Ayush,
smoothly.
Ishita spoke about fitting in and getting into the groove. And what do you think about Ricardo? Has he still not settled in McLaren? What is the issue with
Uh,
him, especially Lando
no,
doing so well?
it's not suiting him yet. The car is not suiting him yet. He's yet to find his grip and whatever. So there are two types of broadly there are two types of drivers: rare grip advantage, someone who relies a lot on rare grip, someone who relies more on front grip. So the car is more suited right now for Lando Norris, according to him, and Ricardo is a little opposite of Norris, his driving style. There is still time for Ricardo to come back, but he needs
I
to
have a
start
question
improving
with
his
it.
qualifying.
Yes, yes,
I
please.
have a question for Ayush. Why didn't McLaren take Perez and rather went for Ricardo last season?
So I'll tell you, if you were following the silly season, which is when the drivers swap and teams are interested in drivers. So Zach Brown was always interested in Ricardo. It's been 2-3 years. Like when he was about to leave Red Bull for Renault, back then Zach Brown was interested in Ricardo, but Renault was offering Ricardo 27 million for that year. That was the third highest from the grid. 27 million for the entire year, which was way above Max was getting in Red Bull. So Ricardo, for money reasons, I think for monetary reasons, he
But
chose
Ayush,
Renault.
is time running out for Ricardo if he wants an attempt or a shot at the Drivers' Championship, or do you think there's no hope now?
It's over. I think it's over. Although he's a brilliant driver, but he does not have probably that some bit of spark which is required. He's won races. Some of the races which he should not have won, he has won them. But Max and Charles Leclerc are they are, and now if Russell comes to Mercedes, I think these three are a different ballgame. And then Lando Norris
Agreed.
himself is doing really well. So
Ishta, coming to Mercedes, what exactly is going wrong? So Hamilton hasn't had a win in 4 races, and you expect him to. This time is 1 year where Hamilton, apart from Nico Rosberg, where he's actually getting some competition for the Drivers' Championship. What do you think Mercedes, Hamilton, and Bottas can do about it?
So, to answer your first part of the question, what's going wrong with Mercedes? I mean, from whatever, how much ever F1 that I see, I think more than something going wrong, it's just that Red Bulls have improved their car a lot. And about what they can do, I'm not very sure. Maybe Ayush is the right person to answer that.
So
no, I just
Ayush, you can
I
see the Drivers' Championship points.
you're on,
Max is at
yeah.
156, Lewis at 138, and Bottas is in fifth position. So how can actually Lewis claim his top spot?
So I'll just give you a little perspective. If you look at the past 4 races, I think Paul Ricard, barring Paul Ricard, Monaco and Baku, as well as the Red Bull Ring, the Styrian GP as it is called today, uh, Red Bull had an edge. They were the better car, so Mercedes did not stand a chance. If Mercedes got as many points as they did, it's because of Hamilton's brilliant drive. What lies ahead of them are 2 races which are very important: Silverstone and Hungaroring. These are so Silverstone is again Lewis's one of his strengths. He's won there 6 or 7 times, and Hungaroring is absolute bastion. I mean that is like uh, I would say Rahul Gandhi's Amethi for the longest time.
But
If
Rahul Gandhi actually lost in Amethi,
Yeah, he lost.
so
That's what I'm wondering. I think Max can beat Lewis in Hungaroring. If Lewis loses Hungaroring, it's over for him. It's a game set and match.
okay.
Checkmate.
So
Fine.
Ayush clearly making Max the Smriti Irani in today's politics. Ishita, what do you see of the last lap fight between Perez and Bottas?
I think the strategy was a good one. Perez did have a chance, but only if they had gone for this a couple of laps sooner. I think there was a beautiful chance there for Perez to actually claim the third spot.
Bilkul, because it got quite close in the end, almost half a second gap. That is it. And if you can see
Yeah.
in the constructors' championship, Red Bull is placed comfortably at 252 points, and Mercedes trailing it with 40 points to go. So next weekend also we have a race. Really excited for it. Until then, please keep
Also, it's
liking,
a new
commenting, and
format.
subscribing. Yes, it's a new format, definitely. So it was great having you on the show. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. It was great.